Okay, week 5 is in the books. My team did not play, so this should go a little quicker. Good solid week of football. Actually, I was impressed because all of the games that I actually got to watch on TV ended up being good games. You know, I watched all 5 that I get coverage of, and I was really impressed with everything I watched. It was close, dramatic, down to the wire, a couple of upsets. Good stuff. So let's kick things off. Panthers, Falcons, pretty much what you expect. Matt Ryan on the road, a rookie quarterback on the road. It's hard to expect too much out of him. I'm glad Jake Delhomme actually played statistically good this week. I had to start him in fantasy because my starter is Peyton Manning, and he didn't play this week. So, pretty much what you expect. The Steve Smith getting back in the groove of things. Carolina ran the ball well. Couple of performers in this game that impressed me. You had John Abraham, who is leading the league in sacks right now, and he's just playing great this year. Maybe the Falcons won't be a great team this year, but John Abraham is going out of his mind. And for the other side, Musa Muhammad. This guy had an all-star game on Sunday. 8 catches, 147 yards, and a touchdown. This was the guy who, as recently as the last 3 years in Chicago, looked washed up and ready to hit the retirement home. So if he could have a 1,000-yard year this year, that would really make what he said about Chicago seem at least partially justified, because he's taken some heat for what he said about Chicago being where wide receivers go to die. So anyway, Panthers take care of business. Bengals, Browns. Not the game you want to watch. Somebody had to win, though. And, well, it was the Browns. And in my defense, I thought Carson Palmer was going to play. I'm not saying I would have picked Cleveland if I knew that Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to play. But I thought Carson Palmer was going to play. So that's why I picked Cincinnati. And pretty obviously, in hindsight, we can see how much that affected Cincy. But I picked it wrong, and them the breaks. So there's really not a lot to say here. Braylon Edwards finally catches a touchdown. You know things still aren't very good down in Cleveland. I still think it's time to give Brady Quinn some reps. I want to see Brady Quinn in action as soon as possible. Oh, and credit to Jamal Lewis, because he played a pretty good game and carried that team on his back, because Anderson didn't play well either. Houston, Jacksonville. We gotta page Jacksonville's defense here, because something's not right. You know, Matt Schaub has never really indicated to us that he can be good in a meaningful NFL game. People talk about him lighting up a couple of defenses when he was with the Falcons. He came in when Vic got hurt and played really well, but I remember one game he was playing the Patriots, basically their practice squad in 2005, and people use that game as evidence, but that was the Patriots' practice squad. If he didn't light them up, there was something wrong. So I don't know. I think people overestimated his achievements in Atlanta quite a bit. So for him to look this good in this game, Jacksonville's defense needs to do a little bit of soul searching, I think, because they're better than this. They spent pretty much their entire draft going after players who could rush the quarterback. Derek Harvey, Quentin Groves. They have Rasheem Mathis. They know they got a great player in Reggie Nelson in the draft last year. They have Mike Peterson. They have a lot of good defensive players. Maybe they miss Marcus Stroud. I don't really know what's going on there. But that was pretty inexcusable what the defense led up against Houston. Jacksonville's offense. Let me just say that when Matt Jones was taken in the draft in 2005, I had a friend, my best friend was a Jaguars fan. He hated that pick. He was mad for days. But I got to look at his skill set in his rookie year and his second year, and I thought that guy was going to be a superstar. But then he was lazy and unwilling to work to get better, and it didn't work out for him at first. But this season, he's breaking out again. He broke out 2 years ago. He's breaking out again after last season when he did nothing. So I really hope Matt Jones goes on to have a good NFL career, because I love his talent, and he's finally starting to get his head back in the game this season. And you can't say enough about David Garrard taking over the game in the fourth in a must-win situation for Jacksonville. Now suddenly they might be contenders again. Who knows? The AFC is a little bit open when it comes to the wild card positions. So, big win by them, obviously. Chiefs Broncos. I watched this game. I watched the whole thing. I got a new setup. I got this big screen TV, and you can split the screen down the middle, and it'll have one game on one screen, one half of the screen, and another game on the other half of the screen. It's awesome. It's awesome. I can watch both games on Sundays. Denver. You know, it's been well documented that we thought they were an elite team. We had every reason to think they were elite. They were the kind of team that could overcome their defensive shortcomings to put up a ton of points and win games anyway. And I still think that they could make the playoffs, maybe even win a game in there, but, you know, you can't say enough bad about their defense right now. You know, I'm not even going to go into too much detail, but if you've seen the highlights, you know what I'm talking about. Can't tackle, can't stuff the run, can't force turnovers in key situations, it almost seems. Can't stop the pass on a regular basis. I mean, Damien Heward was going through them like a surgeon knife at times. And you can never let that happen to you. That being said, Kansas City is still not a very good team, regardless of what happened in this game. Kansas City is still the team that started the year 0-3 and looked like an 0-16 team heading into this game. So, I think the reason Denver lost this game is they tried too hard. Kansas City, well, in spite of what happened on the field today, the Broncos are a better team than the Chiefs. So, I saw Cutler making low percentage throws into tight coverage. He was trying to thread the needle. I don't think you need to do that. I think that if you just play it safe, make the smart high percentage throws, throw it short instead of throwing it deep, and do the things that you're pretty confident is going to work, and lead to average success, opposed to going for it all, like Cutler did quite a few times, that should be enough to beat the Chiefs. But Cutler gambled like he needed to the last two games against the Saints and Chargers, and it led to a couple turnovers and eventually the loss. Then you had like that trick play with Brandon Marshall taking the handoff in the backfield. I don't think you need to run trick plays against Kansas City. You should be able to win the game just doing the basics. I think they tried too hard, getting too fancy, trying too many weird things, and I think that cost them. I still like this offense. Still pretty much everything about it. I think they're going to be able to run the ball well later in the season. I think that Eddie Royal can become a really good complement to Brandon Marshall, and if Denver gets two wide receivers who are capable of taking over the game, Brandon Marshall and Eddie Royal, along with a guy like Brandon Stokely and Tony Scheffler, they will be a dangerous team this year. I mean, if you can think of like Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne when the Colts won the Super Bowl in 2006, that's two receivers who can take over the game, plus Dallas Clark. This could be almost the same thing, just a lesser quarterback, of course. 49ers Saints. Let me go back to Broncos Chiefs real quick. I just want to say Tony Gonzalez, 3 yards short of the all-time yardage tight end record. 3 yards behind Shannon Sharp. I wanted him to get it in that game. He was going up against Shannon Sharp's old team in the Broncos. He was in front of his home. He was in front of his home crowd. He was going up against a hated divisional rival. I really wanted him to get one more little pass at the end to break the record, but it didn't happen. So that's life. Niners Saints. Not too much to say here. Drew Brees continues to just play incredibly well, and keep an eye on him because he could break Marino's single-season yardage record. I'm just saying, it could happen. He's playing out of his mind right now, and he doesn't have his best receivers. No Colston, no Shockey. They didn't even really run the ball that well against the Niners. Bush didn't do much. McAllister did make a couple plays. One of my favorite plays of this game was when Drew Brees faked throwing into the flat, faked the handoff, then threw deep for a touchdown. As for the Niners, not a lot to say here. Iffy game for their offense. We still have more questions. Well, still have more questions about them than answers.